And here we go, we are already getting into the game. This is Avorex and Chameleonosaur in a Steampunk on Steampunk matchup. It is the Scoutmaster Steampunk Helix on the left side of the map, piloted by Avorex, and the Steampunk Warthog with Frank as the pilot, being represented by Chameleonosaur on the right side of the map. Let's just neutralize that chat. It looks like Avorex is going to be starting pretty typically with a few Longhorn, most likely making a quick move onto the middle outpost. Same deal for Chameleonosaur, except he is cornering those tanks around his main fortress, perhaps in a defensive bid, and it looks like he's commanding them to roll out after all. Avorex not wasting any time. A bit surprised that he isn't double carrying those over, but the effect is going to be the same. A couple of his tanks sustaining some moderate damage, but nothing actually getting destroyed by that socket at T99, which does make a very hard target. He does need to watch out for that one on the left if he wants it to remain intact. Meanwhile, Chameleonosaur opening up on the same end. It looks like he is only moving in with the one tank carried in, and he's going to land and do some harass, possibly destroying that honeypot. Almost dying, he does go down. And Avorex already starting to ferry his units over. It looks like he's going to go for that decisive hold on the outpost. That honeypot needs to start healing the tanks and stop healing the creeps in the socket if it wants to survive. However, it's a bit late for Chameleonosaur to do too much of anything, as Avorex now has a firm hold on his side of the chasm. It looks like it was a huge mistake on his part to go for that hostility and die in the process. Meanwhile, Chameleonosaur just doing a little bit of harass. He's not going to make too many inroads with that defensive Seeker, and he might go down here again if he doesn't start to run. His health is dropping down very low, but he does make it to his outpost where he has a couple Seekers and a lone Longhorn with a couple more in the queue. He is going to continue to keep attempting to harass, but it might not go anywhere, as Avorex is very well dug in at this point, and he doesn't have more than 1 point invested into ground fire at this point in the game. Meanwhile, Avorex also doing some scouting. He's just going to give the corners of the base a little bit of a love tap, not finding anything over there to destroy. And he's going to head back to safe territory to continue massing his army up. Chameleonosaur also massing his army, but that lack of mid-control means that he is building slower, and he's going to be at a distinct disadvantage with less routes that he can utilize to push in on the enemy. It looks like he is going to be clearing out that bridge, possibly to side push. And Chameleonosaur once again scouting. It looks like he has a couple of rebels on a patrol loop to defend against. Those are going to go down fairly quickly. And there's even more rebels coming in. His base health is trickling down, but since they're on a patrol loop, they're attacking him and not the base, meaning it actually did very little. But Avorex taking advantage of the situation to attempt to neutralize this outpost. Likely going to get it down, but he doesn't have the force to hold it. And once those soldiers die, he's going to be out of assets in the area, just flying away safely to lick his wounds and prepare for the next assault. Meanwhile, Chameleonosaur is going to look for some creeps to attempt to reclaim that outpost. He's already got 3 walking in, and along with the 2 that he's carrying in, he should be good. Meanwhile, Avorex is once again harassing the base, this time with a Rebel and a Longhorn. Now, Chameleonosaur needs to get his body in the way of that Longhorn before it does too much more damage to his base. He does have a couple defensive Teslas, and it would be wise of him to move one of those over to the rear of the base, where it can provide a better range of defense. And that is exactly what he does. Meanwhile, Avorex taking another Longhorn and attempting to neutralize this top outpost. Seeing as Chameleonosaur has no units on this outpost, he has no way to scout it out, and it quickly goes down. Meanwhile, Avorex once again dropping that tank on the base to distract while he ferries in some infantry. And it looks like, unless Chameleonosaur does something very quickly, he is going to lose the outpost, neutralizing Avorex's top outpost. But it looks like his creeps will get there in plenty of time, as Chameleonosaur is forced to react to the seizure of his top outpost. And his creeps once again reset the situation. However, his base health is trickling down from the onslaught of these constant base drops. Meanwhile, Avorex is once again attempting to take this outpost, this time with enough infantry to hold it if none of them get destroyed. However, a couple of them do get destroyed, and he no longer has a chance of holding it, and in fact may go down here, does escape narrowly. However, Chameleonosaur is starting to build up a very impressive army here, as nothing's been wasted on base drops, and he now has a similar scale of army, admittedly with more anti-aircraft. And it looks like Avorex is pushing out a bold move with no healing units at all, and we will see how Chameleonosaur reacts to this. It could be a base race, folks. Looks like Chameleonosaur might be utilizing... I'm not sure what he's utilizing. However, unless he builds some stuff on his base very quickly, he could be in a lot of trouble here. It looks like he's going to try and bomb that unit mass, as Avorex drops a few tanks to take this outpost in the distracting meanwhile. As you can see, Avorex could very well finish the game right here. Chameleonosaur's army is pushing in, but it doesn't have very many tanks in it, and if it comes down to a raw base race, Avorex certainly has the advantage. And it looks like this match is going to be over very quickly, with Chameleonosaur simply failing to react at all to this push and this aggression. And his base is getting very low. The tanks are also getting low, but not fast enough. And it is all over, with a decisive and somewhat awkward defeat for Chameleonosaur, and Avorex emerging triumphant.